Jezebel and the vintner Naboth. You remember that. And if you don't remember it, it's on the church's Facebook page. And I've got to say, I was delighted while away to be able to watch the sermon, to hear what she shared. And it's something that I commend to you if you're away at some point. Make use of that technology and keep abreast of what's going on here. But last week, as she shared in her sermon, she had the prophet Elijah who finally came and confronted King Ahab about his sin. And then things kind of end. That's where the reading from 1 Kings concluded. This week picks up just a little bit later. You see, confronting King Ahab and Queen Jezebel didn't go so well for the prophet. And so now he is on the run for his life, trying to do anything that will keep him from getting strung up. And it's there that in the wilderness he hits his wall. He can't push on any further, and he just lies down in the shade of a tree, hoping not to wake up. He's given up. He's done. But an angel comes by and wakes him up. Elijah, wake up. Here, have some water and a cake. If you don't eat, the journey will be too much for you. And I can just imagine Elijah waking up, perhaps still muzzy with sleep. Leave me alone. And so a second time, the angel shakes him. Elijah, get up and eat, or else the journey will be too much for you. And this time he does. He gets up and he eats this bread that has been cooked freshly on hot stones. He drinks the cool water. And then he continues his journey. He finds out that journey, of course, is an ongoing process. Ahab and Jezebel are still after him. There's still plenty of evil in the world. There are still enough things that he's going to need to confront as he makes his way along. But now, reminded of God's presence, nourished and refreshed by these holy gifts of the bread and the cup, he is able to continue to do his holy work. He makes his way a little further until he comes to Mount Horeb. And there he encounters the power of the living God. And it's a beautiful story as it unfolds because he's been there always expressing his belief in God's power. And while he's on the mountain, there is the sound of a mighty rushing wind. A tornado coming through and splitting the rocks. And I can just imagine Elijah as he's watching this happen thinking, oh, God's pretty awesome. But God was not in the wind. The ground shook. A great earthquake. And this time you can be certain that Elijah thought, okay, this is where God is, moving the earth itself. But no. And then a raging fire, flames consuming trees and brush. Clearly, God is in the fire, right? At least if you're the prophet, you expect God like a refiner's fire, that beautiful image that comes through in Isaiah's writing. But God was not in the fire either. So, where was God? In Kings, we're told that God was in the sound of the sheer silence that came after all of the noise. think that's where we find God as well. Very early on Sunday morning last week, there was a lot of noise in Orlando. 49 people killed, more than 50 injured, as a lone gunman opened fire at the Pulse nightclub. The sound of rounds being fired, screams, groans, wailing sirens of police and ambulances, and then silence. We find God in that silence. A silence that lets us stop and regroup, that allows us to collect our thoughts, to think of how we as a people can move forward. We've listened throughout the week as commentators have told us their visions of how to move forward, and I've got to tell you, much of what I've heard has been noise. So we take a moment, we pause, we breathe, we remember, and we commit. We commit to standing against violence, no matter who it may be directed towards, but especially violence towards our LGBTQ siblings. Certainly, as the news has unfolded, we have heard about this gunman so quickly labeled as a foreign terrorist. But we know that he was raised right here. That his prejudice is an American prejudice. That his violence, though cloaked in ideology, is an American violence. So we pause. We wait for the noise to finish, and we encounter God. In his letter to the Galatians, Paul wrote words that are important, reminding us that in Christ there is neither Jew nor Greek, free nor slave, male nor female, and you can be certain that had Paul been writing today, he would have told us there is no gay, there is no straight. We find ourselves once more confronted with words in Scripture that stay with us in our reflective silence, that remind us that we need to continue our journey. That in the bread and the cup that are handed to us, we find strength. And that when we join together, we can make a difference. This coming Tuesday, we have an opportunity. We have been invited as part of the Association of Religious Communities to gather at First Congregational Church along with ecumenical and interfaith partners to stand against violence, particularly when directed at the LGBTQ community. We've been invited to stand in solidarity with our Muslim sisters and brothers, so often scapegoated these days. And our presence is important. I will be there. I hope you will be too. It's an opportunity for us to stand with one another, to stand with a broader, faithful community, and to pledge ourselves to peace, justice, and transformation of our world. Now today we are celebrating, of course, Christian Education Sunday and Father's Day. But both happy things. Our education leads us ever onward. It draws us to greater levels of faith and understanding. Our fathers, both literal and metaphorical, those who have gone before us, who have blazed paths of justice, are behind us, pushing us on, cheering us on, if you will. And so for us today, we're offered an opportunity to respond, but also an opportunity to reflect, and to see in the face of each one the face of a beloved child of God. May God then bless us as we build relationships, as we overcome violence and injustice, and as we move ever forward, powered by the gifts of God. Amen.